So, Doctor Who, Series 12, Episode 8, entitled Can You Hear Me? I honestly thought that Orphan 55 was going to be the only blip on this series, so far, in terms of letting plot go in favour of wokeness and making a statement. Now, the message behind Can You Hear Me is one of mental health. It's being aware of your mental health and getting help if you need it. And that's a message that I think is completely necessary. It's a good cause to advocate. But again, they allow plot to take a back hand in favour of spreading a message. Now, this episode isn't as bad as Orphan 55. I don't think that... Orphan 55 was just unengaging in general until it got to the point where it was just they wanted to preach to you about climate change. This episode, we see a bit more of a fleshing out of the characters, and that's very welcome. We see a fleshing out of Yaz's character and how she suffered from suicidal feelings and bullying in the past. We see a fleshing out of Brian and his best friend, Thibault, who's got some sort of anxiety disorder, depression, and he goes to visit him because the Doctor drops off all three of her companions back home, and they all go and they all do their own thing. Yaz goes and spends some time with her sister. Brian goes to spend some time with his best friend Thibault, and Graham goes and spends some time playing cards with his mates at the bus yard. And obviously they all face their own sort of fears. They all face their own sort of anxieties and doubts and guilts. Even the Doctor faces her own fears of what the Timeless Child is, what it could be, what it could mean, the prophecy of the Timeless Child. Graham faces survivor's guilt to do with his wife Grace, and also fears of his cancer coming back. Brian seems to be battling guilt because he's leaving his friend behind. Whenever he goes on travels with the Doctor, he's leaving Thibault behind to his own devices. And Thibault actually says at one point, "Come back, I can't have you away for that long. It feels wrong when you're not here." Obviously, Yaz has got these events from her past in her mind as well, and this is all because these gods, these ancient type of gods, have been playing a game, if you will, with two planets. They found two planets, and they feed off of fear and guilt and doubt and negative human emotions. Cue a speech from the Doctor, arguably one of Jodie Whittaker's finest, where she says humanity is strong, not weak, because these gods believe that humans are weak and they're feeble. She says, no, humankind are strong because they deal with their doubts, their fears, their guilts every single day, and they come out on top, and that takes strength. So that was a great speech by Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. We're definitely seeing her develop her own kind of character as the series goes on. She picked up a habit of talking to herself even when people aren't there, to the point where she turns around and says, "Who am I talking to? There's nobody here." And I can't recall seeing that since David Tennant was the Doctor. So I may be wrong. Maybe Matt Smith did it or Peter Capaldi did it. Let me know. Remind me if I'm wrong. But I don't recall hearing the Doctor talk to themselves since 10. And Jodie Whittaker has picked up that habit, and she seems to be very lonely on her own without her companions, even if it's just until tomorrow lunchtime. So overall, I don't think it was worse than Orphan 55, but the engagement with the main villains of this episode, it just wasn't very engaging. The villains weren't very captivating. That wasn't very engaging. You didn't really care. The final confrontation wasn't climactic at all. In fact, it was rather anticlimactic, rather abrupt, and it felt like there was a plot for plot's sake, because you have to have a plot. You can't just go on about mental health. And I think the writers of this episode wanted to go on about mental health, and I think that they just made up a plot that could have been a great storyline. It could have been fantastic, because Graham was seeing these visions of this female stuck on some sort of planet between two planets, and she wanted help, and he goes to help her, and then the twist at the end, there was just no impact with the twist. There was no build-up, there was no drama, no tension. Same with Orphan 55. There was no drama, no tension, no build-up. So when the twist happened, you just didn't care. So I think this is the second worst episode of the whole season as a whole. The worst episode by far is Orphan 55. Next week, we seem to be getting a look at Mary Shelley and Frankenstein and what inspired that. So that may be good, depending on how they do it. But let me know what you guys thought of the episode, of course, below. Drop comments. Let me know if I'm entirely wrong, or if I'm entirely right, or if I'm somewhere in the middle. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your opinions, and I want to see discussions. Of course, be nice, be polite, be civil. And I'll see you in the next video.